we look at athletes and say, again, come to practice all the time, put in your best effort. We don't care what level you are. And if you're looking at 10 and under, if you don't qualify for tags, it's okay.
Right.
But just keep coming to practice.
Welcome everyone. We are back with the third episode. Today we have Coach John, head coach of Pearland Aquatics. Coach John, it's great that you're here. If you want to introduce yourself to everyone.
Thank you. My name is John Burke. I've been coaching since 1990, where I started the Annapolis Swim Club in Annapolis, Maryland. In 1998, I joined North Baltimore Aquatic Club, where I met my wife, and I was there for 4 years. And then in 2002, I went back to the Indianapolis Swim Club, and in 2006, I moved to Texas, and I've been coaching with Pearland Aquatics since 2008, and I became the head coach in 2015.
Wow, that's crazy. So it's a long journey of coaching, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you've been through, so how many teams totals?
Annapolis Swim Club twice, North Baltimore, and then Aquastar for about 18 months, and then Pearland Aquatics ever since, 4.
So that's been a journey. So what was the highlight of your career so far?
Besides meeting my wife? Okay. I mean, I just been blessed to work with so many kids throughout the course of my career that are just good kids and turn into good adults, and I still have communication from them periodically, which is kind of wild. And being able to watch them go from swimmers to set goals to become adults. I even coached 2 of them at the same time that ended up getting married.
Oh.
And it's kind of cool.
Wow,
and,
yeah.
You know, and just the history of, you know, there's been so many athletes that swum at very high levels, but it's just the relationships that you build over the course of time has probably been the most fun for me. It's probably I find that is probably my biggest accomplishment.
Yeah, the connection with the kids.
Oh, yeah,
they feel free to talk to you about anything in their life and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, in some cases, yeah. It's I've had to deal with some real emotional stuff over the course of the years and communicate with parents on behalf of a kid, and it's hard. But it's also, like I said, it's rewarding that they can believe in you and trust in you that you're going to do best by them.
Yeah, that's great. So the reason we have you here today because one, you know, you have a longevity of coaching career, and you go to a lot of different swim meet, you know, like all of the fastest swim meet and stuff like that. So I will have like some more questions regarding like the USA swimming system, the swim meet system. Let's see how a swimmer from, you know, a very young age can make their path all the way up to like the highest level, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing first, how about the coaching levels, right? So I'm 8 years into coaching, and you know, how many levels of a swim coach that, you know, we can go like 1, 2, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that.
If you want to look at the American Swim Coaches Association, ASCA, and you look at their levels, and you can take education courses for levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they all have like a physiology school and a leadership school. So there's different business, which is a lot of cases swimming is a business, and so you have all those things that you can be educated on. And then you have accomplishments. Anybody can become a level 2 coach by taking the courses, but you have to have an accomplishment, either age group or senior, to become a level 3, level 4, level 5. And very few coaches in the country are level 5.
Wow.
And example, to be a level 5 age group coach, 40 athletes or relays on the top 10 list, and 3 number 1 rankings.
And the top 10, we're talking about like a national?
Every year, short course and long course, they produce a top 10 in the country, and based on age, 11 to 18, 17, 18. So it's 11, 12, 13, and then all the way single ages until then it's 17, 18. And then top 10 list in that, and if you have 3 number 1s plus 40, you can be a level 5. And to be a level 5 senior coach, you have to put somebody on the national team.
Wow.
And that's at the end of the year, say from September 1 to August 31, you have somebody that is actually in the top 6 in an event, in an Olympic event in the country. So if they go to the nationals and they finish in top 6, typically that's good enough. In some cases, if they make the short course world championships are going on, everybody on that team, their coach is a level 5. So yeah, it's a big deal. To be a level 4, you have to have somebody actually qualify for nationals for senior. And then to be a level 4 age group, you need 20 national list kids or relays combined.
Right. So speaking of like that national and high level, how many teams like do we have even like, you know, in the entire US? there's like 50 states with one state, and you know,
Like around 2,500. 2020 hurt a little bit, but lost teams had to shut doors. But we have about 2,500 in the country. Yeah.
right. So like obviously we can't just go over the country and you know compete all over the places. So how do USA Swimming separate or you know section out like the team based on their location and stuff like that?
You know, the governing body, USA Swimming, it's located in Colorado Springs at the United States Olympic Training Center. And it has its main office there, and there's other national governing bodies that have their office there as well. And USA Swimming is broken up into 4 zones. You have a Western Zone, Eastern Zone, Central Zone, and Southern Zone, which where we are in golf swimming. And then there are 59 LSCs, local swim committees, throughout the country, and each of those LSCs are within a zone. And the national government, USA Swimming has a board of directors and committees and committee chairs. Each zone has a board of directors, a coaches rep, a kind of like a parent or non-athlete coach rep, and they also have a board of directors, and then every LSC has a board of directors based on the structure that USA Swimming has theirs. But each of the 59 LSCs can structure their LSC kind of the way they want. And they can, when it comes to meets, how they set them up, each LSC can kind of do their own thing.
Right. So we are in Gulf Swimming LSC, right?
Yeah, golf swimming goes from Galveston, Gulf of Mexico, up to Lufkin, you know, the Woodlands, College Station, Katy. Yeah, it's basically circumferencing Houston.
Right. That still, right? We go to swim meet and there's a lot of teams, right?
Yeah, it depends on the meet you go to. If it's a LSC championship meet with one site, like age group champs,
right?
Yeah, every team that has a kid qualifying that goes can go. There's like, again, it fluctuates, but probably around 60 teams in golf swimming.
Wow. Yeah, and like those meets are fast, right? The pool deck is always packed with a lot of people around, you know, and the energy in there is crazy.
Golf swimming LSC is one of the better ones in the country when it comes to actual club strength based on performance of swimmers.
Right.
And yeah, when you go to an LSC championship meet or even a senior championship meet within golf swimming, you're gonna see some of the better swimmers for their age in the country.
Right. So then talk about LSC swim meet, right? Mm-hmm. What are the type of meet that, you know, available out there for swimmers?
Well, if you just want to look at LSC, again, every LSC can do things the way they want. I came from Maryland Swimming, and Maryland Swimming you have first right of refusal. Once you get a meet, it's yours until you decide you don't want to do it anymore. And then the LSC has championship meets that are run by certain clubs. Golf swimming, when I first moved down here, it was golf swimming controlled all the meets. They would have, you know, a junior meet and a senior meet for and an age group kind of. So it would be like a junior for age group, and then a kind of like an elite for age group, and then a senior every month. And you had to bid on them, and so it wasn't you weren't sure if I got this meet next year, next year I'm going to get it. So we as the coaches body decided we want to change that, and golf swimming can do the senior champ meets or age group champ meets. So they have what they call protected weekends, and so everybody has a championship meet in golf swimming in December, February, or the beginning of March, and then July. All other months are free market. If a team wants to run a meet, they put it together, they invite other teams, and they run the meet. Mm-hmm. And there's a process to go through that when you have to be sanctioned, and what the sanction process looks like. You have to secure your facility and pay rent for your facility for the meet and get your officials, and there's a big process. And to even do that, you have to be get a certified meet referee. You have to get a AO certified. You have to have a certified meet director, safety marshal. So there's all these things you need to check the box on to be able to get it sanctioned.
Right. That's a lot of things, and we have to like prep it ahead of time, right? Like probably how far ahead that
you can get a sanction for a meet that you want to run within days if it's a year meet with 4 teams less basically, but it takes probably 2 to 3 months to plan out. The beginning is not as much work, and just securing the facility and inviting the teams and getting the meet announcement and getting the entry file out to the clubs, and each week just gets a little better.
Right.
in our case, we have to secure, if you run the natatorium, a police officer. We have to make sure police officers are there the entire time because it's a city facility.
Right.
So there's all these things you want to make sure you line up, and the earlier you get that done, the better off it is.
Right. And the workload coming to like setting up the meet and actually have the meet happen and running it during the day of the meet have a lot of like, you know, manpower, a lot of like volunteer.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, the parents stepping up and all of that, right?
Typically when you go to any meet, you want officials from other clubs, you need them, unless your club is good enough to supply all the officials for the meet. Most of the cases you need officials from the teams, and then you assign each lane timers. So it's like each team gets the X amount of chairs to fill for timing. Everything else is on the club is hosting the meet.
That is one of my eye-opening moments when I first moved over here. Because when I was a swimmer in Vietnam, the official and the timers are pay position.
Oh wow.
So not every pool have a touchpad and a time system. A lot of time the meet go with 2 or 3 timers on deck. They have like uniform and all of that. They actually pay position. Most of the time those are, you know, like athlete swimmers in the past, and you know, they do that extra thing and stuff like that. And they actually got paid just being there in time, paid by session and stuff like that.
I say that because it's volunteer based, everything to run a meet.
Right.
Even the officials, you
Right.
know, we might give them gift cards and a thank you for helping us run the meet because we do profit from it. But everything else, concessions, hospitality, people to work in our computer room, everything is volunteer. And people get certified to do those jobs because if you don't have a certified AO, you can't run the meet. You don't have a certified meet director, you can't run the meet. So it takes time to get these certifications, some more than others. Like the meet referees, the hardest one.
Right.
Yeah, but AO, they've done a good thing within USA Swimming, especially coming out of 2020 when they got a shortage of especially meet referees. Gulf Swimming actually worked with USA Swimming to try to expedite the process from going from, I'm a stroke and turn now and I want to become a chief judge and deck ref and starter up to meet referee, and you can do it within 18 months now. Some cases I had some people that it took 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's because if you're going to be meet referee, you're going to have to do all these steps, and it's going to, and a lot of people will get through the process, or will get through half of it and say, why am I doing this?
Right.
I got everything I need. I have the knowledge. I'm willing to do it, and you're making me jump through hoop after hoop.
Right.
So they give up on the process. So USA Swimming says, okay, we'll create something what they call an R9, and it's in even the LSC. It used to be up to the LSC and the officials chair to say, you are now a meet referee because you've done all the check boxes. And
Right.
every LSC was different. You
Right.
to become a certified meet referee, every LSC in the country was different.
And I would imagine, like, with how many teams we have in the Gulf and stuff like that, right? And every team try to have at least a swim meet a month for their athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Like those, you know, meet every AO, like they are busy pretty much every weekend, I would assume.
Oh yeah, and especially this weekend upcoming, there's 5 sites of the fall champs, I believe.
Right.
And that you need 5 meet referees and
Right.
5 AOs. In some cases, it's like an AO could be there one day, so you need somebody else to be there another day. And after 2020, when we're looking at parents who are interested in volunteering for us to become a meet referee or really specifically an administrative official, an AO, or a meet director, I decided I'm just going to get certified. So I am now a certified meet referee. I've been for a few years, and I'm also a certified administrative official. So if they need me, I'm there.
Right.
And Coach Janine is too. And
Yeah.
having that on staff, we went from 0 to 3
Wow.
in a short period of time. Because again, if you're going to run meets, you need those people in place. And if they're
Right.
willing to take, I said, I can do it myself. If
Right.
the parent wants to do it, that's even better.
Right. So that like a huge connection all right between everyone on staff, and you know, what I learned not in my first year, of course, but like later on, is that Peak Coaching LLC is just one company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Greenland Aquatic is a separate body of company.
It's not really a company. It's a 501c3 non-for-profit organization.
Right. So that was the biggest surprise, because I never know that's actual, you know, how business run, right? Like a team hire a team of coaches, right? Because again, when I grow up, everything is just in line, and you know, the coaches aren't there.
When you look at Juan Caravero started Synergy Aquatics in 2003 out of the Alvin ISD pools. And Alvin ISD says we're no longer going to rent for for-profit organizations because Synergy Aquatic was for-profit.
Okay.
So they created Pearland Aquatics, a 501c3, and to meet that standard of, okay, now we can rent, we're a non-profit organization. And they did a contract with Juan and his company Synergy Aquatics for coaching services. So all the coaches work for Juan. And so that's when I started working for, Pearland Aquatics. I was actually working for Synergy, and I was coaching for Pearland Aquatics. And when Juan took the job at USA Swimming in the spring of 2015, I became head coach, and I started my own company. Now it's called Peak Coaching LSC, and the coaches work for me and my wife Ann, and we pay you monthly in expenses and things like that. And I have a contract with Pearland Aquatics for coaching services.
Is it similar for most of the team,
No.
or
Very
is there
rare.
a different way to?
You can own, and there's very few clubs within the LSC that own, like their own team, and they own their own facility. It's very rare. Most of the time, the 501c3 has a board of directors, which Pearland Aquatics has, but other clubs in the LSC, they have a 501c3, and they have a board of directors, and the board of directors hires the coaching staff. And depends on how your program is, the 501c3 is structured, how long your board members serve. But most of the time it's very transient, people coming on every year. And somebody, in some cases, and I've seen it firsthand, that they might come on and say, I don't like this head coach, so I'm going to get on the board and remove them. And it's happened a lot. It's sad. And so having a 501c3 that I work for, and I have a contract with them, the coaches work for us, it's a layer of security.
Right.
And there are other couple facilities or organizations, actually I think it's now maybe down to one, no, there's a couple, where an ISD, an independent school district, the school district owns the team and they hire the coaches, and the coaches work for the school district.
Right.
There's like that in Texas a lot. And in the golf, there's a couple.
And so another thing that, big surprise for me is the sort of balance of, ISD swimming and year-round club swimming. Because for me, when I was swimming in Vietnam, like, again, ISD swimming was not a thing. Because literally, we go to our in-house school swim meet and look around. It's just swimmer in a year-round team that I was in with. And we have 5 kids in the water doing a 50 free, and there are 3 PE instructor on deck, and they can't time us. They can't match the clock fast enough to see who's first. So, and then we go to district again. It just, the kids that been in the year-out team, that's just dominant up front. So here in the US, yes, some kids that stay in, high school swimming or middle school swim for the most part, but they can still, pretty decent and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, they can transfer over to, year-round and long-term later.
And again, coming from Maryland, the public school, high schools, for the most part, didn't have pools.
Right.
Some did. Some counties might spend that money. And then club teams would use the school pool to run their club team, and then they also have the high school team. Down here in Texas, it's like a lot of schools have pools.
Right.
And the ISD that we're in, the Alvin ISD, where I am, they all the high schools have pools, and they have their own swim team. And you can rent the pool as a club, and we've done so in the past, and that's where we started, but we're not really, actually as of yesterday, we're not there anymore.
Yeah.
Right? We just had to use them now almost out of necessity. But you offer middle school kids programs, and there are some middle schools in our ISD, in Alvin ISD, that have pools. And so those kids can swim summer league and then go to the junior high and say, hey, I want to swim on the junior high team. It's a very short season, and then they can do summer league, and then when they get to high school, they can just do high school swimming.
Right.
But it's like, in any case, the more you practice, the better you are, and the club kids dominate.
Yeah.
You have a high school kid here or there, might be okay, but most of the time it's just club kids.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned the summer league, right? Which is another introduction level for, new swimmer from a swim lesson program to have like the middle steps before they want to fully commit into the sport, right? So for those summer league, have you run any of that, or
My first coaching ever was 1989. I did a summer league team. And then I did it again in the summer of 1990. I was assistant coach in the 89. I was the head coach in 90, and then I started doing club in the fall. Yeah, I did it for years. And actually in my community, we started a little summer league team just to keep it in the community, not compete outside, just to get swimmers involved in the sport, and then hopefully get them over to Parallel Aquatics. Yeah. And there are some leagues in around the country. I know that in between the Montgomery Swim League and the Northern Virginia Swim League, right around DC, Washington DC, there are about 24,000 summer league swimmers. Wow. Yeah, and Nation's Capital, they get like 10% of them. Yeah, you know, that's there because they have multiple sites, lots of kids. Right. And it got so competitive. Phoebe Bacon is one of the best swimmers in the world. She's been an Olympian. She made her first junior cut ever at 12 at a summer league championship meet, because they said, hey, can we do it long course and sanction it? Wow. And they said, yeah. And they ran it. Nation's Capital, where she swam club, one of the better club teams in the country. Katie Ledecky came out of that program. They ran the meet for them, and they asked the board members within the summer league. It said, the board members that ran the summer league, hey, can we do this? And they said, sure. And that's when she made her first junior cut. She did it at 12. Wow. You know, around here it's different. Like, some leagues you can't be on a club team and swim summer league, and some used to do that and then they changed. And there are some pretty big summer league teams in the Houston area, summer league programs, because there's multiple leagues. You have the Clear Creek Swim League and Southwest Recreational Swim League, and then you have the Northwest Aquatic League. I mean, so they're different around the city of Houston, and they're basically community based. And a lot of those kids, that's where they get a taste of swimming and say, I want to do it year round and find a club team.
So what I see so far is the flexibility, right? Like as long as you have, the people power and, all of the certification needed and stuff like that, you can pretty much run a team, but it's just a matter of how do you sustain it and stuff like that.
And that's the thing too, I found in my career is that if you offer kids a very high level, they're going to stay. If you offer them what I would call almost like a summer league mentality, where it's like almost recreational, but you're a year-round club, you don't sustain athletes, because after a while it's like, why am I doing this? I have other interests, and I'll just go do those interests because they offer me the opportunity to do something at a higher level. So the higher level you try to get your athletes achieve, I think the better sustainability the program is.
Yeah, so I mean, again, I swim as pretty much high level back then, right? Mm-hmm. So it was a big challenge of, balance out schoolwork and then, training 9 times a week, 2 hours each, and all of that. So when I first moved over here, I looked at, school schedule, and then, the kids have school practice and all of that. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty much the same kind of stressed, but,
There are the very, very few clubs in the country that can almost control the high school schedule, high school practice, and what they actually do at practice every day. Right. And one of the best is Carmel Swim Club in Indianapolis, right outside Indianapolis in Carmel, Indiana. They are one of the top in the country. And their head coach, who runs Carmel Swim Club as well, he was on the Olympic team coaching staff, put a couple kids on the Olympic team, but they all come through that club program and high school program, and he controls the entire content of the program. Right. And their resources are amazing, their facilities. Right. And they're very rare. Most of the time, it's like the high school, like in our case, if they play water polo in the fall, the high school doesn't really get it started until like the 2nd or 3rd week of October. Right. And then you have Thanksgiving break, and then you have Christmas break, and it's a very chopped up season. And club is very important for them if they buy into it, where they stay in the club and don't worry about doing water polo. And then when the high school season rolls around, they're very limited in the meets and things like that they do. But the ultimately looking down the road, because the big thing is to swim at the state level, I got to go qualify, go to districts, get top 6, go to regionals, get top 2, maybe 3rd or 4th if you get called up, and then move on to the state meet. So it's...
Because my biggest question is always is for, high school swimmers, right? What they're going to do during summer, because one, school is not going to open for them. And then during big breaks, right? For me, if I'm off practice for, let's say, 3 or 4 practice, I feel off. Like when I get in the water, I don't feel the catch. I don't feel the pull anymore. I don't feel the weight of the arms. So like with those big breaks, like if they don't transfer over to, year round or keep on swimming during the summer, it's going to be really hard to maintain a level.
I'll give you an example. The ISD's, Pearland and Alvin that we draw from primarily, and these schools play water polo in the fall, and then they get into swimming in the middle of October. Say in the end of the summer into the fall. And when you have water polo as your primary sport and you're not really training swimming, then you play until, if you make the playoffs, you play until you get knocked out, or you don't make the playoffs and then your season's over. And then you have, both ISDs now have a fall break. So once you get the fall break, you're not practicing. Then you come back and start swimming. In a lot of cases, then you have Thanksgiving, they might practice a day or two, or they might not. And then you have Thanksgiving and to come back. And then you have 3 weeks before Christmas. And so they might train for 2 weeks and do meets. And then this week they can train a little bit, but then they won't have practice on Friday because it's the last day of school before the Christmas break and the semester's over. And a lot of just high school kids, they don't go back to school until January 7th. And they might not, the whole next week they're done. Like the high school my daughter goes to, she doesn't have practice Friday, the whole next week. So she doesn't go back to practice until December 30th. So she'll be off.
Like 3 weeks.
Yeah, December 20th through December 30th.
Right.
And then some cases they won't even have practice the following week.
Right.
It depends on the school and the coaches saying, we're going to have as much practice as we possibly can. Right. But a lot of cases they just give the kids off during the break. And then the downside is when you come back, like you said, a couple days off, you lose feel. Well, take a couple weeks off. Right. And then you come back, districts is in 3 weeks. Right. If you're just a high school kid, you really can't prepare yourself because of the fall break, because of the Thanksgiving break, because of the Christmas break. Club swimming is just, that's the reason club swimming dominates.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to maintain your levels when you just keep on getting on and off.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's why club swimming is so important that the kids are willing to buy into it. Every once in a while, someone might go away for a few days in Thanksgiving or fall break. We try to come every day. We actually offer more practice during that time, and then like doubles and so forth, because they don't have to worry about being in their high school in the morning for high school practice. Right. And then same with Christmas. And so we get opportunities to train it more and more. So we get them better prepared for districts. Yeah. And it's harder for just a high school kid to get out of districts because so many club kids will be there and they're super fit compared to them.
Right. So it's about 30 minutes in. We're going to have a little break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk more about competitive swimming.
Okay.
Yeah. For the first half, we talk about how a team set up, how LSC run, how USA Swimming run a swim meet, and all of that. Now I want to go into more detail about the swim meet levels. Right? We have local swim meet, we have open meet, we have in-house meet, and all of that, and then we have age group level and tags, which is the Texas age group, the highest level in around here. Mm-hmm. So what beyond that for younger athlete, a younger swimmer?
Again, you're right. You have LSC championships, which golf swimming hosts 2, one in December, one in July. And 10 and unders that they go to those meets, they can swim prelims, they can swim finals. The next level for them is the Texas Age Group Swimming Championships. There are 5 local swim committees, LSCs in Texas, and they have a short course and long course tags championship meet every year. And you have to qualify for that. And then if you go there, they do take 16 back for 10 and unders and 11 12s and then 13 14s. And there are, again, 4 zones, and each zone is required to host 1 championship meet, and it has to be a long course. You can do a second one if you want, but the only one that does a short course championship meet is the Eastern Zone, and it's different, where, again, even the zones can decide how they want to run their zone championship meets, and each LSC can decide how they want to pick their team. And in Maryland swimming, we were in the Eastern Zone, and they had a short course meet, and they did have 10 and unders, and they do time finals, and they do prelims and finals for 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18. And for the short course, you're only allowed 2 swimmers per event, boys and girls, and they are only allowed to swim a total of 6 events at the meet total, and it's a 3-day prelim final meet, where no other LSC did short course championship meets, but the other LSCs can do it differently. And again, the Eastern Zone for long course, they had a time standard. So if you made a cut, you can swim that event, 10 and under up to 15, 18. Where we are in the Southern Zone, they don't have 10 and unders. It's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18. And each LSC is allowed to take 12 swimmers per age group, per sex, boys and girls.
Yeah.
So it's, again, not as big of a meet when it comes to total number of swimmers. And I'm not even sure how the Central Zone does it and the Western Zone does it. And we don't attend the zone meet anymore, but when we did, it was basically you would apply for the team and they get selected based on times.
Right. So for those qualified time, those cut and all of that, we know that we have the USA Swimming motivation time standard,
Mm-hmm.
like AAA and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So how would those, separate meet qualified time cut get out?
It might be AAA for a zone level, but again, what they do is, and even for age group champs in golf swimming or tags, they have committees that look at the size of the meet based on number of kids that attended, and if it was too big, how can we make it smaller? And they look at events that might have been having too many swimmers in it. Okay, we can make it a little bit faster and kind of not have less kids, make the meet be run more efficiently, quicker. And that's the same thing with these LSCs. It's basically if you have at least a AAA, you can apply. And some LSCs really get into the zone meet, especially in the Southern Zone, and it might be a quad A. One of the top kids in the country in your age group just to qualify because it's pretty deep. But most likely as you go down through the 12, more like a AAA or between AAA and quad A to make it.
Right. Yeah. So, and that is for, 12 and under and young age swimmer. And that is like what, already talking about travels, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, that's why for the Southern Zone, they don't let 10 and unders attend the meet. And most LSCs will travel as a team. They outfit them too with LSC merchandise. And, if it's our zone, goes from Texas all the way to Florida and up to North Carolina, West Virginia. So they fly if it's on the east side of the country and they put them in hotels and get buses or vans and travel the team back and forth. And, traveling 11-12s is hard enough, but traveling 10 and unders in my history has been harder. So.
Yeah, that's a lot of commitment from one of the parents and stuff like that, mm-hmm. right? Because when I was a swimmer, my dad or even my mom, like one of them gonna have to be with me on every travel trip until I'm like high school. So I would would imagine for 10 and under how paranoid a parent might be, and USA Swimming, we can't really let parents interact with the kids or like be in the room with the athlete and all that because of all the safety and stuff that
mm-hmm.
we talk about. So it's a big challenge.
And I've been on trips with the Eastern Zone, like Maryland Swimming All-Star Team, the zone team, and North Baltimore Aquatic Club, where at North Baltimore, we would go to Atlanta every January. So we'd fly down, 10 and unders. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, and we would have chaperones. And so the chaperones would have to take care of the 10 and unders.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
Yeah.
And now with Say Sport being so much bigger, it's just easier not to travel those kids.
Right.
And you can put a 13, 14 or a 15 and older kid, you put two to a room we do, and they have their own bed, and we do room checks, and a little more responsible athlete you're dealing with. Not that some cases you might get in trouble. And I've had stories of that happening. Never personally with me, somebody doing something where we had to send them home.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just makes it easier, And when you look at an age group kid, it's like, okay, it does help traveling 11, 12, kind of get used to it and being out of the comfort zone, not with mom and dad anymore, rooming with friends, and going to a meet and have to manage themselves and what they eat. Because it's not like, some of these parents are like, oh, my kid needs to eat this. Yeah, but I got a whole group of kids we're looking at, and they're going to get what they get. If they don't eat it, it's on them.
Right. So then when athlete, swimmer, grow up, they pass that 14 age, they can't go to age group anymore, right? Or tags. Where else do they go?
Again, when you look at the LSC, you have LSC championship levels for senior, and then getting out of that, you have a sectional level. Every zone has sectional meets, and most of them have two. So we have a Western Zone, like ours is typically on this at Texas A&M or up in the Dallas area or Austin at the University of Texas. And then they have one on the east side, North Carolina, Florida. And some sectionals are open, some sectionals are closed. And if it's a closed sectional, the only people that can go to them are those LSCs that are signed to that sectional meet. Our spring meet is open. So California teams will come in, Colorado teams come in, because it's a fast meet at a nice facility. They can travel their kids, have a championship meet in March, and we can run a meet with 16 lanes and very efficiently in like a 3 to 4 hour session at the most, including relays and distance events every day. So it's like I can get my kid in there for warm up, start to meet at 9. I could even in some cases be done by 11:30, get them lunch, get them to the hotel and rest. And it's attractive to people outside the LSC or outside the state or outside the sectional to come and participate in those meets.
That's nice.
Yeah, and then the next level after that, I mean, you have juniors. And what's happened, sectionals started the first time in 2001. Before that, USA Swimming would have a short course and long course junior meet. And they would break it up into countries. So you had a Northeast Juniors, a Southeast Juniors, and a Western Juniors, and you would attend based on geographic location. And anybody can qualify if you have the qualifying time. You could be 12, and you've had 12-year-olds go to the junior meet.
Wow.
And some cases they can go there and swim really fast. I mean, I'll use Michael Phelps as an example. He made his first junior cuts at 13 and went to that meet and swam in finals. He was that fast. I mean, and he's a little 13-year-old boy. I mean, he's grown into obviously a man, but when you watched him at 13, and I'm like, when he made his first cuts and the meet at the Maryland All-Star meet, and then 2 weeks or 3 weeks later was juniors, I'm like, he's going to go there and score, and he did, because he was just so good, right? But that's very, very outside like the norm of a kid getting to that level and swimming at that level. And then once sectional started, a group of coaches got together and said, hey, we still like the junior format. Why don't we create an organization and run a junior meet for short course and long course, and people can join the organization and go to those meets. And the National Club Swimming Association was born. And NCSA has junior meet in the spring, during basically sometime during spring break, the middle of March in Orlando, and they have another one at the end of July. Typically they run it in Indianapolis long course. And that meet has gotten so popular that in some cases people get locked out because it fills up so quick. They do a tier system. Well, if you came to last year's short course meet, you're a tier 1. If you didn't, you're tier 2, that kind of stuff. So out of that, more meets have started to grow. The International Swim Coaches Association, ISCA, creates meets, and they have a national meet in the same time as NCSA.
Right.
So you might have a sectional meet you can go to, and NCSA and ISCA, and all these meets that started to pop up because you're looking at creating an environment where it's fast and you can travel. And so the options have even grown, and it's basically geographical where you want to go. Out west, it's a little weird. In the spring, they don't have those meets, and a lot of those people travel east.
Yeah.
A lot of them come to Texas if they really want to swim at a high-level meet. At our sectional meet, they might go to NCSA from California or from Washington State. And then when you look at the next USA Swimming, after sectionals, they have winter juniors, short course, and that meet got so big they split it. So you used to have just winter juniors, and it could be anywhere in the country, and then they have winter juniors east and winter juniors west. We've had kids qualify when it was just Parallel Aquatics, when it was just winter juniors from one site, and they did it either in Greensboro, North Carolina, or Federal Way, Washington. So
That's like 2 sides.
seriously, the entire, and so they said it's getting so big, we're going to split it. So yeah, again, geographically located, where does your LSC fall? So you're going to be, we're in the Western short course junior meet, and you have an Eastern short course junior meet, and that was actually last weekend. And that to me is my favorite meet, because so many people around the country at that time of the year focus on one thing. You might have an LSC championship meet, but you don't have sectionals, you don't have any other juniors. It's one meet that people focus on at that time of the year, and it's really popular and really fast.
So for that big of the meet, right? So you mentioned like some of the local meet, yes, we can raise the qualified time to get in. Why don't they do?
They do the same thing,
and it still gets bigger.
Oh, it's unbelievable how much faster it's got.
Right.
Like the 50 free to qualify is 20.39. for boys.
24, like short.
Yeah, 20.39. And it is. It's like I had last week. A buddy of mine had 2 weeks ago at a championship meet. A buddy of mine had a boy go 20.8. I'm like, that's really fast. And I'm not even thinking winter juniors. And I said, what is it? He goes 20.3. And it basically
20.3.
Yeah, if you're going low 20, you have a shot at making top 24, making finals. You go 19, you're going to make finals. But that's how fast it's gotten.
Top 20 on a 53 at Winter Junior.
And there's 2 sites.
Right.
And both of them are doing the same thing. And it just, again, when you put an environment together that you have to swim at a very high level to make finals, it makes everybody up their game when they go in there. And the competition level forces people to swim faster. And that's why I think it just gets faster and faster, and you have to keep lowering time standard and lowering time standard. The example, I had a girl, Jaden Bellina, make trials in the 400 IM in 2016, and she was in one of the top 5 heats when she was there. She went 450.8, and the cut was 454.99. And that cut right now that she made by over 4 seconds wouldn't even qualify for 2024 Olympic trials.
It was 2 trials ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hannah Bellina, her sister, in 2020 went 2:13.8 long course 200 fly, made trials. That wouldn't have been the cut this year, 4 years later.
Wow.
It's just people getting faster and faster, and it's like, look, more people qualifying. And if you get 1,800 people at a trials meet, it's not a big number if you look at the 350,000 swimmers in USA Swimming. Yeah, that's not a big number, but for one meet, yeah, it's big.
Right. So we heard some story and stuff like that from, Bellinas themselves when they come back after the meet, like how, what that was an experience for them, being there, experience, like the whole crowd and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And because, again, Jaden got to go full experience because it was 2016 and she didn't swim well and she knew it. She's going in. The stress of the meet, again, you talk about, when I look at philosophy for me, it's like, if you come to practice every single day and you put in the work and swim faster, you gain confidence and you kind of feeling like, I can go to a meet and I can swim fast. And I can create almost every environment that you're ever going to go in, just go into certain meets all the time where you can have pretty packed stands, pretty packed deck. You cannot recreate Olympic trials anywhere except for at Olympic trials.
Right.
Because but then it was in an arena, now it's in a stadium.
Right.
You can't create that.
Right.
And so the athlete sometimes goes in and like, yeah, this is hard.
Right, because even for, the qualifying going into that, like Winter Junior section and stuff like that, you have 2,000 people normally in, a swim pool of a college. And now you go into a big stadium, 18,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how big was that last year at Lucas Oil? Like what?
They were trying to get
40
30.
something?
Trying
Right.
to get 30. But the way they configured the stadium with, they kind of cut it in half for the swim meet, and the other half was like the warm down pool,
Yeah.
and where the athletes can sit. And they didn't hit the numbers that they wanted, but they made $5 million on the meet.
Yeah. So for me personally, when I graduated college in Energy Stadium, just being in there and like look up and like the entire sitting area there is an experience. I couldn't imagine 30,000 people or like 20 by the time back in 8 years ago.
And again, when you look at the hierarchy, and okay, we got winter juniors, and after that you have summer long course juniors, which is even faster qualifying times, and there's only one meet of that, and it's typically out in California.
Right.
And again, it's like going from East Coast to West Coast, and people can say, I might go to NCSA Junior Nationals, or I might go to an ISCA meet. Finding other meets that are challenging for my athletes to swim at a high level and not have to worry about going all the way out to California. And sometimes it might even be, the 7th through the 10th of August. Well, down here, we might start school on August 12th.
Right.
So it's like your whole summer is gone, and so they're trying to find something that fits the need of the athlete and not have to worry about going to juniors. And then they have some summer off at the end, and then they can go back to school. But if you're looking at, okay, I want to make the national junior team,
Right.
and compete at a junior Pan Pac or junior World Championship, well, I need to go to nationals, and that might be June, July. So a high school kid could go there, and if they swim fast enough, then they make finals and they finish higher up. Okay, we're going to put you on the national junior team.
Right. And then those are we're talking about are still high school swimmers, right?
18 and under, yeah.
Right. Or like
But they really have to be high school. Like you can have an
Right.
18-year-old in college and they won't take them because they're already out of high school.
because I always imagine like we have 17 years old on the Olympic team, right? And then they still go back and do what their district meet and all of that, just like normal. How
Well-
shocking it gonna be?
Thomas Heilman is a senior in Charlottesville, Virginia, and he swims for Charlottesville Y and club team, and he made the Olympic team, and he's already committed to University of Virginia in Charlottesville, Virginia,
Right.
and he went to the Olympic Games, and then he just swam last weekend at Winter Juniors East,
Yeah.
and he went 43 like 800 fly.
Right.
I mean, it's almost
eye-opening.
It's
Yeah.
so. I mean, again, so athletes on deck can walk by and warm up
Right.
with an Olympian,
Right.
which is very rare because again, with the people being able to stay in the sport longer because they get paid and turning pro and getting endorsements and performance money. It's very rare for a high school kid to make the Olympic team now,
Right.
but having a boy do it's even rarer than a girl.
Right.
And you get to compete with them at Winter Junior meet.
Right.
But again, it is pretty cool.
Yeah. So at what point do a college or high school swimmer, can become a pro or call themselves a pro?
Well, you can turn pro anytime you want.
Right.
And once you turn pro, you forfeit your college eligibility. Right? You can't be a pro and have college. Now that's why they have the name, image, likeness, the NIL contract that you can sign with the school and they'll pay you. And some of these, like there's a gymnast for LSU that makes millions with their NIL. And then there's football players and basketball players that get NILs and they make hundreds of thousands in some cases millions, depends on. But it's still rare. Some people make it, get a little bit of money, some people get a lot of money in college. Again, I'm going to use Michael Phelps as an example. He turned pro at 15. So he forfeited knowing I'm not going to college, swim in college, but that wasn't his goal. His goal was I want to change the sport of swimming and I want to win 8 gold medals. When he made his first Olympic team, it was in Indianapolis at an auditorium that had about 4,000 fans.
Wow.
In 2000. 2004, they built a pool in Long Beach, California in a parking lot.
Right.
And had 10, 12,000 fans. And then they moved it into an arena with 15,000 fans in Omaha, Nebraska.
Right.
I mean, he did that because people
Right.
wanted to see him and obviously other swimmers, but he was the driving force. And he made a lot of money. I've
Right.
heard when he was retiring from swimming is worth about 50 million.
Right.
He is so rare,
Right.
right? I mean, other ones are making money, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But he was, the one that changed when it comes to how people perceive swimming
Yeah.
on TV more,
Right.
in bigger arenas.
Right.
But if you can go back into, the late 80s with Matt Biondi and Tom Yeager in the 50 free, 100 free, and Matt Biondi was Michael Phelps not winning the golds, but winning as many medals at the Olympics in like Seoul before Michael, but they weren't getting the pay. They
Right.
weren't getting the money. And so
Right.
they were the driving forces to say, we need to pay athletes that are out of college.
Right.
And USA Swimming started giving them a stipend. You can get a stipend from USA Swimming. Michael's family did, and he had an older sister that was on the world team when she was 14 years old in the 200 fly. And she got a monthly stipend from USA Swimming. And you can do that and still be considered an amateur. They just want to help with your training costs.
Right.
And so they slowly put money into the sport. Now it's so much more. And then you watch in short course world championships,
Yeah.
and you're just like world record after world record after
Right.
$25,000,
Right.
$25,000.
Right.
And I get excited because I'm like, these people have worked so hard to get to this point, and they earned it.
Wasn't there 40 plus records, something like that, broken in the last 6 days or something like that?
It was insane.
Yeah.
The amount of world records that were broken. I don't know, that number seems right, but it just seemed to me that coming off the Olympic Games,
Right.
and people said, okay, I'm not going to stop and take a break. Some people might retire, some
Right.
people might take a month or 2 off before they get back into it. I think the mentality of the athlete coming out of the Olympic Games was, I want to go to World Championships, and if I swim fast enough, I can make a lot of money.
Right. And, get their names out there,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Get it started before.
And
next
you see
cycle.
that it's like they keep, they set a world record and they get a sign that says
Right.
world record, and they're holding
Yes,
it up,
yes.
and then underneath it somebody says $25,000.
Yes.
And again, they earn it. It makes me happy to see people that a lifelong or a body of work in swimming to reach that level and swim at that level, and just getting paid for it. And
Oh, I experienced that myself. Lucky me. Back in the day, 10 years old me, get on the podium, an envelope, first place, $20 or something like that.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
in, sign a check, get the money out. That going home, let's go. Meal for the day type thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
not in the United States.
No, not United States.
Parents
but-
might pay their kid if they swim at a certain level.
Well, yeah. 20 years ago, something like that for me? Wow, what an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about that, you laugh. What kind of pressure do you think you were under to do that?
Well, I mean, again, right? Like money on the line, meals of the entire family on the line, maybe rent on the line. And maybe a lot of kids, they literally have their parents paying debt, literally. So there's a lot of pressures. And then again, if they don't perform, physical stuff might happen,
Yeah.
Again, 20 years ago. So,
And I tell you, you're saying that, and I look at it, it's obviously a different country,
right.
different set of rules. Over here, we don't have that. We look at long-term development, want the kids to love the sport,
Right.
want the kid to work hard. And again, I always think is if you just come to practice every day, put your best, effort in, whatever that might be that day. And if you can do that, you're going to learn to manage yourself. You're going to gain confidence. You should go to meet, and we teach you, meet strategies when it comes to how to manage yourself and race plans and all that. It just gains confidence, and you can hopefully swim at a higher level. What we try to do is educate our parents to encourage your kid to just enjoy the experience, and we love you no matter what. I don't care if you qualify for this meet or not. We're there to support you.
Right.
And that's the case most of the time. We see every once in a while we might think a parent might overstep their bounds because they want their kid to perform so well, and you can see the kid pressured, and you're trying to help them through it, and they just can't get out of their own way, and their performance is going to be hindered due to that. So we try to understand it's a big picture, and the kids we want them to swim in college because we want them to have lifelong friends and do experiences that most people can't do.
Right. Since I started coaching, I always, have a thought in mind that if you don't do it or fix it in practice, don't try to do it at the meet.
Yeah.
Because you have tens of days in practice before the meet to solve that problem.
And I was at a meet last weekend looking at somebody, and I was talking to Coach Natalie, and I'm like, yeah, I can't do anything right now. It's just not worth it. I might mess them up even more.
Right.
By trying to get them to focus on something that they're really not going to change. Just go do it.
Right.
And then we'll come back to practice and we can work on it.
Right. Yeah. For me, when we go to the meet, it's just an experience being there, having fun that day, and then go back and work later on.
And what we do as coaches, we try to fill kids with knowledge to make them better. And then when they come to a pre-race talk before they go up and race, and they talk to me, I ask them, okay, what's your plan? What do you want to do in this race? And what do you think I want you to think about during it? And they can verbalize it back to me. They know exactly, for the most part, what they're supposed to do. And in some cases, they're not practicing enough. And when you do things in practice all the time, no matter how hard you change in the meet, when you get into that race, you go back to where you're comfortable, which is in practice and not doing the things we've asked you to do.
Yeah.
And they don't swim as well as we want them to. And okay, when we get back to practice, you got to focus on this aspect of your training to help you overcome that problem in the meet.
Right.
It's a process.
Yeah.
Some kids get it and can learn and move right away. Some kids, it takes years.
Right. And for me, a swimmer actually gonna move on to the next level is when they understand the body, when they understand what they need for themselves, how they make their own strokes. Because again, they can't look at an Olympians and try to copy their stroke, right? Because everybody is different. So.
Oh yeah. And I tell you another thing is we look at athletes and say, again, come to practice all the time, put in your best effort. We don't care what level you are. And if you're looking at 10 and under, if you don't qualify for tags, it's okay.
Right.
But just keep coming to practice. And we've had kids that were B swimmers, maybe double B, and they get to 11, 12, maybe they get their first A time. And all of a sudden they're in high school and they're qualifying for juniors. Because they stayed with it, they kept working, not worrying about I need to qualify and swim the tags. If I don't at 10, I'm a failure. Right. It's like I'm looking down the road, and if you can get a parent and a kid to think that way, their long-term success again, okay, can I swim at a sectional level or a junior level above is much greater.
Right, because at 8 and 10, I would assume they have 10 more years of the sport maybe in there, right? So
well, I've used my daughter as an example. My oldest one, she's going to be finished in the middle of February. February 22nd is the last day of her conference meet, and so it'll be February 2025, and she started swimming in September 2010.
right.
And it's over. And it's like, see how quickly, and it's like you
Yeah.
think it's going to be forever, and like that, it's over. So just
Yeah.
take your time and enjoy it.
Yeah, and then again, who knows? Maybe at 41, you're gonna get a Olympics gold medal in the 50 free. Anthony Irvin back in the day,
Yeah,
who knows?
He won it in
2000,
2000 and 2016, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah,
He tied in 2000 with Gary Hall Jr.
yeah, just get out there,
Yeah.
take a little break, come back, get it.
And that's something too. And again, I keep using Michael as an example because his story is so unique. So he won the 8 gold medals in 2008.
Right.
He did everything he wanted to do, and then it's like,
Right.
okay, what now? And so he, between 2008 and 2012 Olympics, he didn't do a lot.
Right.
He got his endorsement money, he would swim in world championships, but he wasn't putting the work in that he had. And after it was over, it was like, you're done. And he took a year off and then contacted Bob Bowman, his coach, and said, hey, can we have a conversation? And he's had dinner, and he's like, okay. And they're like almost a father-son relationship because they've been coaching each other since he was a young boy. And he's like, look, I want to come back and try for, compete at Rio. And Bob said no. He's like, why? He goes, do you remember how bad it was in 2012? I don't want to go through that ever again. He goes, no, I did not end on my terms. I want to come back, and I want to do this to finish the way I should finish and feel good about my accomplishments when I walk away from the sport. And so he said, okay, and he came back. And when you have that history of the work, he went 5 years without missing a day of practice. Now, I'm not talking about like we had practice Monday through Saturday. No, a single day, 365 days a year. Christmas, he had practice.
Wow.
And to build up that fitness, and then to spend the next 4 years, he still went to London and swam unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then taking a year off, and then coming back and putting work in for the next 3, you still have that fitness, at least, the
Right.
stroke pattern in your mind. It doesn't take much to get back to that, and the fitness didn't take much to get back, but he had that body of work to kind of fall back on, and you can see, he swam again in Rio unbelievably well.
Yeah.
And again, winning the 200 fly again, winning the 200 AM again for the 5th time, 4, 8, 12, 4th time, right?
Yeah.
It's insane to sit there and go, if you would just focus on that and you build a body of work, and if you want to take time off and come back, it's not that hard if you put the work in. But to see how important it is to put the work in, to build that in your mind, the fitness, the stroke pattern in your mind. So
Yeah. So I'm really excited to looking for that LA 28. It's gonna be crazy fast with how everyone around the world performing right now, which is because again we're just off from Olympics for not even a year yet, and world records being broken and all of that. Couldn't imagine that for the next 3 years leading up to LA 28.
The thing is really cool, and again, what swimming, the level swimming has gotten, and the direction it's taken when it comes to these meets. So you have a venue at the Olympic Games that might seat, 14, 15,000.
Yeah.
Which is great.
I heard it would be in SoFi.
What LA's doing is they're going to have the opening ceremonies in SoFi.
Right.
And then typically you have opening ceremonies in the first week of swimming, and the next week is track and field athletics. They're flipping it. So they're going to do the opening ceremonies in SoFi, and then they're going to run the athletics at the LA Coliseum, which is kind of amazing because it's been around. This is the 3rd LA Olympics. So they had 32, they had 84, and now they're having 2028. And when the opening ceremonies are over, they're going to turn SoFi into the swimming venue, and they're going to seat probably 30 or so thousand people. And that's what 2024 Olympic trials showed everybody. You can run a meet at in an arena, at a stadium. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so now they're going to go do it.
That's on my bucket list.
Go to the Olympics and watch swimming in 2028.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list.
And you think about right now what we as just again, I'm a fan means it's short for fanatic, and you're fanatical about something when it comes to sport. And to me, swimming, you are a fan. And you're sitting there going, it's amazing to watch these people do what they're going to do. But you look at what's going to go on in this country over the next 4 years. And we're almost in 2025. Well, the World Cup's coming here as well as Canada in 2026.
Yep.
And then the Olympics in 2028. I mean, two of the, when you look
Biggest.
at the world marquee events are coming to the United States back in 26 and 28. And the whole world's going to be focused on this country.
Yes.
And it's amazing.
And the World Cup Stadium is like, what, 40 minutes away from here, from where we're sitting right now, you know? I can just book an Uber, get up there, you know, enjoy with my dad, and then, you know, Uber home.
And watching a World Cup game.
Yes.
Even my son, who does not like sports at all.
It's an experience. It's a
like,
lifetime experience.
You know, I would love to see Messi. I'd love to see Ronaldo. I said, I don't know if they're going to be around in 26 because they're getting older, but if they are and they're going to play, we get tickets.
Ronaldo going for another 7 years. Portugal just win the host for the one after the US.
Who's hosting in
Portugal
in 2030?
Yes.
Wow.
So, you know, again, he either gonna make it there as, you know, players, or, you know, he gonna be there in the transition.
And we look at our country and look at the things that we take almost for granted. It's like, yeah, we're gonna have the Olympic trials at a stadium.
Right.
And our country's so big, and when you look at having it in Qatar, and it's like, if you go to the top buildings in Qatar, you can see them. Oh, there's a stadium there. There's a stadium in our country. They're hours flights away. Yeah. They're all over this country, and the magnitude of the stadium when it comes to the attendance. The all-time attendance record was set in 1994 when the United States hosted it. It's going to be destroyed because our facilities are so much bigger. You're going to hold it. You know, you're going to fit 60, 70,000 in the stadium.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, physical being there, not allowed, like, you know, the broadcast all over the places.
You go to AT&T Stadium in Dallas, you can expand it out to 100,000 people.
Right.
And again, it is going to be cool. And getting back to looking at, they're going to have swimming at the Olympics in a stadium.
Yes. I'll be there.
In Rio, they literally had it planned when you build the stadium, the pool, when the meet's over, they just take the pool out of the ground.
Yeah.
So it's gone. And it's like, and they took the water cube and they turned it into like a water park.
Yeah.
So they repurposed them, or they just got rid of them. Here, it's like, we have a stadium where they play football games.
Yeah.
And we're going to, in soccer matches, and we're going to put a pool in there, and we're going to run the Olympics.
Yeah, and then 2 days later, it's turned it into, you know, a concert or something like that.
Well, not too long after that, you got your first NFL game.
Yes.
Because the Olympics are ending in July, and the first NFL game probably be September.
Yes.
It's just...
It's insane.
Those mechanics. It's exciting too, like you said. Looking forward to like maybe going out and watching even one day.
Of one session. Yes, one session of final. Like get the energy out there.
Yes. Win a medal and.
Yes, get the energy out there for sure. For sure. Yeah. So, all right, Coach John, thank you for being here today with us. It's been a long episode and with a lot of information. So, you know, hope to see you back in the future for, you know, some more topic. All right, thank you guys for staying with us until this point. I hope to see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.